February the 8th, 2025 to order. We're a little late. We had people checking in, which is not a bad thing. Magaha, you here? Well, that's a silly question. Could you lead us in an invocation, please? Amen. Thank you, Rick. Okay, everybody's got a packet, so you will see in your packet the general membership meeting minutes. January. That's it. January 27, 2024. So we need to, once you have a chance to read them, these have to be approved by y'all before they can go to the board for approval. Motion to approve? Motion. Who was that, Rick? Okay, second? Second. James. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like signs. Okay, treasurer's report. Darlene's not here. She has the flu. So we have you a treasurer's report. The first thing that you flip to after the minutes is the bank balance of the RHBAA. The only thing that is not included in this bank balance that you're looking at is the CD, which is at...
Started at 125. It's about at 128 now.
Started at 125 with interest paid about 128, something in that area. So you can add that to that. And you'll see why this is very important now that you flip to the next page of the P&L. I will draw your attention to the actual second page, but the front of the second page. Down at the bottom, because I want you to hear this number. You'll know why we're cutting costs. Down at the bottom, the net income for the Breeders Association for 2024 was a negative $46,448. That's a loss. Hey, Henry, can you? Thank you. Not unexpected, a little bit higher than expected. I want to tell you that when the registry, when the Breeders Association quit depending on the registry for its income, the major income, and started depending on the two horse shows, there was going to be a time that this happened. And it has happened because we're not in Decatur anymore and we don't have that contract anymore. The horse shows actually made $30,000. So the horse shows made money, but they didn't make enough money to offset the expense of the breeder side of it. And you say, well, that's the way it's been for a long time. That is why the Breeders Association bought the arena in Decatur originally. And the arena in Decatur is why the Breeders Association sold it, because it was draining the Breeders Association to keep it running. So saying all that, the board that was here when we knew we was having a transition out of there understood that our ability to make as much money as we had made in the past at the two horse shows was not going to be the same. And it's not. Even though we did make a profit, we made about, what do you say, about not quite a third, a fourth of what we normally made, something along there, which will make up your loss. Now, the $46,000, it's not all bad news. There's $5,700, there's $2,400. It's about $10,000 of 25 expenses that were actually incurred in 24. Banquet expenses right here. We have to buy the awards and all that kind of stuff before the end of the year. The expense is showing in here, which means that it's a 25 expense, and I don't know how to explain that, but anyway, it's showing on a 24 profit and loss statement, because we don't do accrual. We do not do accrual basis I look at Hannah, she's an accountant. We don't do accrual basis, we do cash basis. So it shows up when we spend the money. Does that make sense to you? You do accrual, you could take that figure down probably, yeah, prepaid expense. You could take that loss figure not in half, but we could take it down to 10 to 15,000. But it doesn't give you, the membership who owns this thing, the exact true picture. So we've always opted to stay on the cash basis, but I'm just pointing those things out. So the show's made money, but not enough to bring us out of the hole. The registry, due to some changes that's been made in the last 5 or 6 years, is starting to pick back up. When I say it's starting to pick back up, I mean for a while there, we were struggling for the registry to even pay the employee that works in the registry. So it is picking back up. And when I say this, I want to thank the speed people that's sitting in this audience, Mr. Dash and them. Years ago, they came up and wanted speed classes added, and we started adding speed classes, and we started changing. We added country speed. I'll never forget when Lance called me on that. He wanted to call it trail pleasure speed, and I said, now, Lance, I think it's a good idea, but I don't think we can use the word pleasure, so we worked it out. And then some people came and wanted a thing called a one-side pedigree. Now, that was a difficult thing for us to figure out, but we did figure it out, and it has been a huge success up to the point, God, I wish Farrah was here, up to the point that I sit on the Walking Horse Executive Committee in Lewisburg. Mark's the CEO. Mark brought it to us 2 months ago to look at doing a one-sided pedigree in the walking horse world. Lance and I kind of giggled and said, we got this. We know exactly how that works. They didn't even know we did it. So there were some things that made the registry start hitting. And I want to say this to you, especially you commissioners sitting in the audience. You cannot commission a horse that has the ability to be pedigree registered, even one-sided now. Hear what I'm saying, because we're doing one-sided pedigrees. So you cannot commission a horse that is eligible to be pedigree registered, even one-sided. What does that mean? Honors, Genzimani, Jose, there's a bunch of those breeding studs that are registered racking horses. So if you go to commission one of their foals, they're eligible for a one-sided pedigree. Before we didn't do one-sided pedigrees, David went to commission. It didn't make any difference they were registered because the mare wasn't. But now it does, because we are doing one-sided pedigrees. So that foal or that 4-year-old or whatever it is should qualify for the one-sided pedigree. What the board has done is, as of yesterday, Ronnie will probably cover it here in a minute, we have made the restoration, the pedigree restoration, the lowest of the fees. Does that make sense? Because we are encouraging you to pedigree register these horses. We've upped the other fees so that we get pure registered horses in the breed. So that's what's caused us to do a little bit better in the restoration. Darlene's not here, the treasurer, but Marissa and I will try to answer any questions you have concerning this report. I can show you, like on the rent over here, it says $18,000. Our office rent's $1,200 a month. We pay it in advance. So there's almost $4,000 there. That's actually 25 expenses also. There's $450. There's $5,700 that are 25 expenses. So what is that? Who's a mathematician? 7, 9, almost $10,000 right there, 25 expenses. Anything else? Anybody got any questions concerning this? Because y'all have to adopt the financial report. Hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt the treasurer's report? Motion. Magaha, is that you? Yes. David, second. Oh, this David. I looked at this David. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed, like signs. Adopted. All right, committee reports. We'll introduce the committees. They may or may not have reports. We'll start with advisory. Greg Johnston is the committee head for advisory.
Thank you, Mr. President. Got things. We have added a country internally in Centerside Center Ring. There's 2 things we probably can do there to make it go a little bit quicker. But I want to just thank y'all for doing a great job getting your horses in and out, and the judges for doing a great job for getting them in and out, as well as the stewards. So you ought to be commended for that, which made us be able to get through at 9:30 some nights, okay? I mean, used to we could drag on, I know, 11:30, 12 o'clock down here at Decatur sometimes. And then these trainers need a little time between morning shows, just like everybody needs, time between the morning shows and the evening shows. And then, because they got to get horses, they got to work horses, get horses ready, got to work their other horses as well too. 5 o'clock, they just ain't getting that extra hour during the day to get a little bit of peace and quiet and rest if they want it. So that's our recommendation.
6 or 6:30?
Let's try 6:30 for the spring.
You taking
Is that
this?
a motion, David?
David Latham make a motion to start the spring evening performances at 6:30. James? So y'all know what the motion is, just to be clear. Evening performance at 6:30 for the spring. Let's just see how it works out. Hearing any other discussion, all in favor say yay. All opposed, like signs.
That's all I have, Mr.
Okay. Jason Hughes, judge.
Who is his co-chair? Who is his co-chair?
Luther Watts?
I'm sorry, Jason. No report from the Judges Committee. Jim Morris is not here. You don't have any report?
I don't have any reports.
Greg's the co-chair on the Rules Enforcement.
Yes.
Ronnie Hooker on breeders.
2 major things that we do.
On my report, I'm going to break it in 2 sections. The first one is why we're in Florence, Alabama. The board last year, because of the previous several years, that we did not get supported in Morgan County, Decatur especially, felt like that we shouldn't contribute to their economy as a Breeders Association. So that's why we decided to make a move.
Thank you, sir.
The board has been actively seeking a venue to bring the Alabama State Horse back to the state of Alabama. There is several venues under construction, under modifications in the state. We knew about this one in Lauderdale County. We knew how it was formed and when they were starting. So we decided to come over here. If you haven't been out there and you came here on 72 or traveled back on 72, it's probably 10 or 15 minutes from here, maybe at the most, out on 72. It's a complex. It's under construction. You can see the road construction. They're making the road a 6-lane with turns. The first big building you drive into there is the Lauderdale County School, Technical School, whatever you call that, Career Tech School now. That's the first building. It is almost completely finished. The second building, it's got kind of like a glass front sitting right behind that school, is University of North Alabama's extension building. And then the arena from this building is kind of up on the hill. And there's no metal in the air at this point, but you can see the footprint of the arena up here. The arena basically is going to be an enclosed arena, heating and air cooled, 25 to 3,500 capacity seating, 150 by 300 floor, which is what we're used to working on. The front would face towards 72. The seats would be on each side. Concession stands in front and back. Then as you go out the back door, you go to a covered warm-up ring where that would come into the arena. And out the back of the covered warm-up ring is 2 large barns with 200 stalls apiece in them. So that's a total of 400 stalls. All that's under roof. So you come from there. I mean, people showed in Murfreesboro. You know what I'm talking about. It's all enclosed under there. Their projected finish date, when I met with them Thursday, is September of 26. The guy who's actually doing the construction was on site, and he's actually familiar with us. He and his family grew up on Mr. Neil Holland's daddy's farm in Decatur, and David and all of us, Gary Wayne, we know Neil Holland's in the horse business, and he's now in the construction business with Nathan Clark, who's in the horse business. So he's been on our grounds in Decatur. So he was very easy to talk to. The only holdback for us would be RV spots. It's the third phase of this build out. In other words, the other phases are going in first before this. So I did talk to them about could they put a few RV spots in for our people, because on this grounds also is going to be 2 hotels, about 200, 220 bed hotels each, 2 restaurants, and for the lack of a better term, a general store. And they were pointing, the arena's sitting here and the warm up in the barns, they're pointing to the left, and there's a hollow back there, not the holler like y'all are used to over there, but a hollow that crosses a creek back there. And they were saying, well, we're going to have an RV park on this side, then we're going to have a footbridge across, an RV park on the other side. So they're planning a large RV park. I just need some RV spots. So we talked about putting them on the top to the right of the arena where the parking lot's going to be. I asked him about their surfaces. If y'all never been involved in arena, at the Decatur Arena, you saw us pulling a thing called a Kaiser drag, K-I-S-E-R. Not Gary Kaiser. It's a gentleman who invented the Kaiser drag. He sold out to a company called ABI. They're still called Kaiser drags. You see them at Chevrolet. Matter of fact, the one over here went to Chevrolet. Him and his son do arenas, and they do footing in arenas. The Walking Horse Celebration hired them to do the footing inside of Cooper Steel now when they took the gravel out and put the dirt in. That's the same guy that's doing the footing out here. It's a study. You do 30% this and 30% that and 50% that, and I kind of giggled, and they kind of looked at me, and there was a county commissioner that's on the board there and a retired extension agent. They said, what were you laughing about? And I said, guys, y'all in the same area we were in. Just get you some sifted red dirt. It'll work out just fine, because once those horses go in and out of here, and once those motorcycles go in and out of here, you're losing that 30-30-10 mixture. I said, trust me, it'll work out for you. So that's where the Holland thing came up, because Nathan and them can sift dirt. So they are. I say that to tell you they are using their money to build a nice arena. They are taking it very, very serious. They were a little behind. They were talking about concrete stiles. I'm like, whoa. We're not big on concrete stiles. And technically, really nobody is. I mean, you got to put a mat down, then you got to put the shavings on the mat, and then, and I said, look, if you get these people in here and Aunt Joyce's horse lays down on your concrete floor and rubs Aunt Joyce's precious baby's elbow, you got a problem. And I said, so I'd advise you not to concrete those stiles. Concrete the hallways, not the stiles. I don't know what they're going to do. They are listening to us. I want to tell y'all why we're looking. If we're going to turn around the deficit that we are facing, We got to think outside the box. And thinking outside the box is, if somebody wants this horse and these horse shows to come to their arena, to their city, and bring income in, then they need to recruit us. They need to help us. They need to use their shows tourism right over here, this building to the left of us. They need to use their influence in the community to get us sponsorships. This is an economic thing for us also. It's not just do we find a place and we land, and this is why we're studying these places. Who's going to bring the best package? And if anybody's ever been in here and been in economic development, that's what it's called. It's called a package. You want to bring a manufacturer in, you want to bring a restaurant in, then you present packages to these people to get them to come into there. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to, the number one thing is bring the horse back to Alabama. But let's bring it back somewhere that is willing to work with us and sponsor us and give us the incentive to bring it to their arena versus somebody else's. In this place, while I was talking to them, Marissa calls this as I'm thinking and I'm walking, it dawned on me that Marissa lives over here. And I said, hey, if we could work out a deal with y'all, we still have an office on the showgrounds in Decatur. Don't know how much longer that's going to work out for us, but it's working out for us right now. Y'all got any office space over here? Because the lady who's managing the breed lives in this part of the world. And they said, yeah, we might could work that out. Again, it's a package. We're looking for a package. We're looking for them to support us. I think they are very receptive to it. There's some other folks that's working on the Huntsville arena situation, and there's some government officials over there that we know and they know that hopefully will kick in. They got to want you to recruit you. This is a government-owned facility, government-funded facility that receives continuous tax dollars. That's a big thing. Trust me, that's a big thing. If you don't believe that, you ask Mac Hess why Tri-State still is in where it's at, because it's owned by the government and he gets hotel and motel lodging tax. That's what supports Tri-State.
You're working on that employment right now.
For a motel, hotel lodging?
Tax to build a new ag center called.
Yeah.
Not enough and big enough for us.
To do something.
New ag center.
We ask, the state products mark asked the cities in Morgan County to do exactly that. The state products marks was a quasi-government entity. In other words, could receive tax dollars. We just asked them to put a lodging tax on, to send it to that center to keep that baby up and running. Didn't do it. Wouldn't do it, wouldn't even talk about doing it. So obviously, an arena that is supported by that type of tax, that's a continuous income tax for an arena to stay here. That's what is another enhancement to look at this arena over here. 2 of the board members are county commissioners. I've only met 3. Yeah, the other one is a retired extension agent. The head of the board is the state senator over here, Senator Meltson. He's the head of this agriculture board that's doing this. So this is a complex. You got UNA, you got Lauderdale County Schools, you got the state involved, you got the county, the cities involved. So that's where we're at on this. Been no decisions made because we can't make a decision until we know what's going to be the end result of it. But it is encouraging. Any questions on that? Why we're here? Why we're looking at this facility out there? Anything on that before I move on?